Hey, I'm Bryan, and welcome back to Vinyl Paints. And this is the final video in a 3-part series dedicated to this painting that I've called The Big One. In this video, we'll be installing the fiber optics, matting, framing, and getting this project finally finished and ready to be delivered. The first step of this was to actually tape the Duga onto the actual canvas, and then drill all the holes necessary for the fiber optics to go in. I had to be very precise with the amount of holes because I needed just the right amount for each cable I had. At this point right now, I want to give a quick shout out to Mike, who actually painted the background for me digitally. I was running so far behind schedule that there was no chance of me finishing this unless I got him to help me do the background, and he was generous enough to help me. I learned some valuable lessons on the Cyberpunk project. I had experimented with epoxies, resins, crazy glue, and I found that actually hot glue works the best as long as you don't overheat the glue. If you heat it too much, it will melt the fiber optic cables. So if you have one of those fancy glue guns that actually has like a temperature regulator, that would probably work really well for this. I didn't have that, so you'll see that I'm unplugging the glue gun in and out of the power supply bar in order to kind of make sure that it never gets too hot. I gave myself a lot of leeway with the cables. They're pretty long. So the good thing was that if I did burn it or melt it, I could just cut off that piece and then put it in and start again. I can't remember exactly. It was between 200, 250 different fiber optic cables that I put in, I believe. I don't even know how long it took me, but it was days. I will say this, it was a long, slow process with a lot of glue gun burns. So now, as you can see, I've started to work behind the canvas. I'm still putting in more lights. I'm still having only the initial first layer in there. I had to kind of attack it in phases, so I would put it in, put all the fiber optics, and now I'm going to be installing the second layer of the cell, or the top sheet, and just kind of put it in there and slide it in, and then I'd have to drill some additional holes. One of the things that's always a little bit difficult when you're working on your own artwork is to not kind of keep going further with it and further with it. I had this idea that I wanted to give a little bit more three-dimensionality to the project, so I decided that I had to drill holes anyways. I might as well have some of the fiber optic cables protrude a little bit, and in order to do that, I figured it'd be cool if they kind of had some depth to it, and that's what you're seeing right here, where there's a little bit, not all of them are flush, some of them are going to be coming out a little bit and so forth. But right now, I have to do something first. I have to get down to making the mat. Originally, I was going to straight up buy a mat for this, but it turns out that mats are expensive. Bristol board and buying some raw mat sheet isn't. It saved me a lot of money, and maybe not a lot of time. I left in a quick note there for my niece, because I figure at one point she'll go through her rebellious teenage thing and this will end up broken, so she can find a hidden message in there and maybe cheer her up. A quick sand to make it smooth. It's maybe not the best mat, but it's a lot cheaper than what they were quoting me. So because I'd taken it one step further with the fiber optics kind of protruding out of the painting, I figured, hey, let's go even further and let's have them actually coming outside of the actual frame. And so I pretty much drilled as many holes as I could outside of the frames with whatever scraps of fiber optic cables I had left, in order to kind of make it look like the lights were leaving the frame and give it a little bit of an additional night light capabilities. I put some additional holes on the underside where the light is for some ventilation, and you'll see that as well there's like a big aluminum sheet on the back, all designed to dissipate heat. And here we are at the looking back and retrospective phase of this, where we're looking back at the original doodle I did on an airplane of kind of how I wanted the layout, to the final Duga, I guess, where I collected all the different pieces of art and put it onto an actual giant calendar sheet. And then, of course, this is the final piece. Honestly, it was quite the journey, and it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot of lessons on the way. One of which was, maybe if you plan on ever filming something, clean the top of the glass first. Everything is showing up. I really enjoyed seeing the interactions and like the lights on Iro and stuff. It did work out pretty much as expected. I mean, obviously there are some tricks I know better for next time and so forth, but overall I was just super pleased with how this came out. It did surpass my expectations in a lot of ways. I'm really thrilled with how like the lighting works, especially on Iro. I'd never attempted something with so many characters. I'm just overall so pleased with this. And of course the little prince and his not a fox, that's actually a husky. I can't remember exactly. I think the total was there was something like 200 different fiber optic lights in there. I'd have to look back at the order sheet if I could find it. I learned a lot of lessons. If I ever were to tackle this again, I'd probably have different approaches to things, but it was well worth the effort. And of course, we need the night reveal, and those are the fiber optics escaping and making me kind of taped onto the wall. Full RGB, so pick the color of the mood that suits you. Thank you for joining me on this adventure. If you like cell animation or cell painting, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll have more content out soon. Thanks for watching. I'm Bryan, and this is Vinyl Paints.